Hi guys, thanks for joining me on our greenhouse tour today. This year, I'm trying a variety, using different methods when I'm growing. So in here in the greenhouse, I do have things growing in the earth, that's in the ground, and I have things growing in containers. So the first thing I'm going to do is to give you a tour of what I have growing in containers. Because I know many of you guys are following and you really don't have the space to grow. But guess what? If you can grow in container, I really want to show you what you can grow in containers. So let me take you on a tour first of what is it that I have in containers, and then I'll just show you around of what else is growing. Okay, so right now in the containers that we have right here, I have one with lettuce and I have another one with peas. In this container, I am growing lettuce. And what I will be doing, I will be pulling some out just to thin them out when they get a little bigger, and I will leave the rest because I want to harvest just the leaves. That way I can have continuous harvest. So that's a great way when you have limited space. Instead of just growing the plant and taking it out, you can grow a lot, thin it out, and then save the remainders for just harvesting the leaves, and that way you can have continuous harvest. In this container here, I am growing peas. And I have about what, 2 4 6 8, about 12 peas in this container. And as soon as they start growing, I will have a trellis for them to grow on, and that will just go up, and there I will be able to have peas harvest. So right there we have lettuce and we have peas. In this container here, I have green onions, and these are just my dollar store onion seeds that I planted, and they're looking lovely. So I will go ahead and thin these out, and I will leave some to bulb up. So most of these in here I will be using as green onions, and just show you how many lots and lots, and they're growing lovely. I did started them inside. So what I have in the container, they started inside, and then earlier around the later part of April, when the weather start getting warm, that's when I take them out here in the greenhouse. And these onions, they're really fattening up. All right, over here I have, this is my first sowing of carrots, and I will go ahead and thin these carrots out, but for now I'm allowing them to grow up more, and then I will be able to thin them out to get at least two harvests, small harvest and a bigger harvest. In this container here I have spinach, and like the lettuce, I am growing the spinach for leaves. So I will be picking the spinach leaf and allowing, and once you pick the leaf, then more will come. And I did have more spinach in here, and what I did go ahead was just to thin them out and plant them elsewhere outside in the garden. So that's what I have going on in my container. I have spinach, I have carrots, and I have green onions. And that's it for containers inside the greenhouse. So now I'll just give you a little view of really what's going on in the greenhouse. And my plan this year to make more use of my greenhouse, and that's to have more than one crops growing. Last year, I felt like I didn't make use of the space, very great use of the space. So this year, I did some reflection, and now I am rethinking how I use the space that I have here in the greenhouse. So that's what's going on with the growing inside the greenhouse for harvest. And then right here, I'm going to start at this very corner. Right here, I have a strawberry plant. And in the fall, I did get this strawberry plant from my neighbor. It was a small plant. Wasn't sure how it was going to go outside. So I planted it in here, and it's coming along really fine. I did have some mint growing, so it's kind of growing. I did try to pull out most of the mint, so that's the plan. It might find a little mint, but I'm just pulling them out because I really don't want to grow mint in here. So that's what's going on in this corner. I have my strawberry plant, and I'm planning to add a couple more strawberries just to this little area and kind of box it around a little, just for the strawberry bed in the greenhouse. Then right beside the strawberry, I have my salad mix, and that's my mesclun salad mix. And I will be harvesting these just for the leaves. There I have more salad mix. Beside the salad mix, I have kale. I have just 2 kale growing on this side, a purple kale and a dwarf kale. And beside there I have Chinese cabbage. And there I have more salad mix right here ready for harvest. I will be able to eat a salad from this salad mix right here. I also have garlic and onions growing. So last year in the fall, I did planted some garlic and have those growing. So that's what I have growing here. I do have some green onions growing. And I'm trying to get rid of the weeds that I fed the hens in the winter, and they're coming back up. The seeds have germinated, but I really don't want to grow wheat in here. So I'm pulling them out. And that's what I have. So these are my green onions. Moving along, I have, so right now what I did is to use the space just for whole crops that I will be able to just take out and then have warmer crops coming in. So here I have a row of Chinese cabbage, and these were planted at the same time. So I have different area. And here I have pak choy. Some lovely head of pak choy growing right here, and they're ready for harvesting. Beside the pak choy, I do have onions, and these onions are from store-bought onions that they were growing in the cupboard. So I just bring them out here and they are growing, giving me lovely green onions that I'm able to harvest. So let me show you what's going on with the pak choy. So right here is just a bed of pak choy and Chinese cabbage. More onions. I will allow some of these onions to go to seeds, and I will harvest some to use as green onions. Right beside here I did go ahead and sow some seeds in late winter of mesclun salad mix and of some lettuce, and they germinated well. I did transplanted some out inside the garden, and I will allow some to grow in here and continue to transplant them more. And that's what I have. I have more garlic coming up. So let me give you a view of what's really going on right there. So that's the area that I was just showing you with the Chinese cabbage, the onions, the pak choy, and the salad mix, and the strawberry plant right in the corner right here. So that's where we were. I am going to go to the next side of the greenhouse. This is the side right here. It's a 10 by 10 greenhouse. I'm planting along the sides like in a U shape. I have garlic growing here, and in the fall I planted these garlic and they came up really well. I didn't use too much space for garlic. I just wanted to grow with them, companion planting, just to kind of deter pests from eating our crops. So let's show you what's going on in here. So this corner of the greenhouse, I have more pak choy growing, and I'm growing 2 varieties of pak choy. I'm growing the larger one and the smaller one. They're all mixed in, so it's just up to me to harvest whenever I'm ready. And I have garlic coming up. Behind the garlic, I have radishes. So I do have a couple rows of radishes and even some turnip mixed in with the radishes. And just as I said, I'm using this time in the growing season to really use the space just for crops that I will be able to harvest quick, and then I will have the space for my peppers and tomatoes and cucumbers, other stuff that I want to grow in here. So this is what's going on with the radishes. So I will be able to go through and really just thin them out. And these are multi-sown radishes. So my plan is to thin them out, take the bigger ones, and then leave the remainder to fatten up. So that's what's going on. I do have a couple right now that I could start harvesting, like these right here, to add to my salad. Beside the radishes, I have some green onions, and these seeds I have sown in here, just direct seed sowing in here. They're not from transplant. The radishes were multi-sown and then transplanted in here along with the lettuce and the Chinese cabbage. But some stuff I did allow to really sow them from seeds. Here I have an oregano plant here, and this oregano plant that I have, it's from last year. It came back, it overwintered and it came back. More Chinese cabbage, more pak choy. Right beside the Chinese cabbage and the pak choy, I do have a row of purple kale. These purple kale, the seeds were sown in here, and I am transplanting them out into the garden. I really don't want to grow kale in here, maybe only 2 plants, because they do take up a lot of space when they get bigger. And as I said, I want to use this space for other crops. So I want to see how many different rotation that I can get from my greenhouse for the growing season. Right beside, I have spinach. Man, lovely leaves. Let me show you. Look at the size of the leaf. I'll be harvesting some today. These spinach, I sow the seeds in the fall. It was a late sow, and I wasn't able to get a harvest, and they came back and they're looking lovely. Just look at that. Look at the leaf. Beautiful, man. And I do have more than one coming up, so I have a lot. So all these spinaches, they were planted from in the fall, and they're looking lovely. More pak choy, more Chinese cabbage, more spinach, and all the spinaches that I have here are really from last fall. Along the side here, I do have some green onions, and those are transplants. I have another oregano plant coming up here. My plan is to have a herb garden, so I will remove one and put it in my herb garden, plant it in my herb garden. Also, I have some kale, and these kales, they're only in here because I didn't want them to die, so I really transplanted them in here, and then I will take them out into the garden. So that's the plan. More kale over there, so they won't be staying in here. And at the front, I did planted turnip, and along the side here, some turnips and some radishes along the side. This is just turnip at the front here. So let me show you where we were just at. So that's what it looks like. Those are the 3 planters, and that's the area where I have spinach, pak choy, Chinese cabbage, radishes, green onions, garlic. Lots of stuff going on in this corner. Let me do it from this end and just show you so far what we have gone on a tour of. Let me just start at this corner to really show you what's going on so far. So that's the end that we just looked at, and we're gonna come over this side, and that's the first section. So now I want to show you what I am growing in this garden box here. In this garden box, I have more garlic, and these are from my fall sowing. I do have pak choy and Chinese cabbage. So that's what's going on in here. And a green onion. This is a green onion from last year also, from the fall. So I'm hoping for that one to bulb up. And those are more later sowing of Chinese cabbage, mostly Chinese cabbage, and a couple bok choy inside here. So that's what's going on in this box. Right beside here, I have seedlings. And these seedlings, I did transplanted some out into the garden, so I do have some empty spaces, and I have more. This is multi-sown. This section of the greenhouse is my seedling section. And seeing that the weather is getting lovely, it's warming up, I have been doing lots and lots of transplant. Here I have multi-sown beets. Beside there I have some multi-sown onions, and I'm waiting for these onions to come up so I can plant them with other crops. I have some kale. I do have some celery, some cabbage, more kale, broccoli. I do have in this some mesclun mix, and these mesclun mix are from my self-seed mesclun mix that I transplanted from the garden. So I allow some mesclun mix to they went to flower, and now they had lots and lots of seeds in the garden, and I'm taking out the seedlings, putting them in the trays, allowing them to get a little bigger, and then I'm transplanting them back into the garden. Here I have some more onions. Here I have some swede growing. And then in this green container I have some green onions that I am transplanting out into the garden. And that's it. So that's what's going on in the greenhouse. Now that it's May, we're ready for our first harvest.